So this is interesting. It'll be an interesting experience doing a virtual air display, air show.
Yeah, an armchair air show. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And how are we taking part in it?
Well, I think we're just going to talk a little bit about our sort of memories of flying and some of our experiences. And what I thought would be quite, because it's an armchair air show, is try and remember your first memories of an air show, because I certainly got some fairly vivid ones.
Yes. Well, I remember Strathallan, going to air shows in Strathallan. I don't remember, particular airplanes or anything, because I must have been too little, really. But I remember the feeling of it. The excitement of being there, and the smell of the airplanes, and I remember their hangar, the sort of musty, oily smell of those old airplanes in the hangar, which I loved and still love.
Yeah, I mean, probably what you're talking, probably a good 40 odd years ago, I reckon. Because I remember the Red Arrows specifically, and trying to take really rubbish Polaroid pictures of them. They were flying Nats at the time. So it's even way before their Hawk days. And another aircraft I remember, or two aircraft I remember, is the Vintage Pair, which is a Vampire and a Meteor.
Okay.
They used to tour around. I mean, they can't have actually been that old at the time, so I'm not quite sure why they called them the Vintage Pair, but I'm thinking about it, it's in the 70s. Oh, yeah. So I remember them specifically, but yeah, Strathallan was definitely the first one. And then I do remember us going to watch, now we might have watched the Lookers air show, but we certainly used to sit and watch the Phantoms taking off from Lookers.
Yeah.
From that there was a caravan site up above the base just to the south called Strathkinnis. So we used to sit there and watch them.
Yes, no, I do remember that. I'm sure we did see an air show from up there as well. We might have gone down to it. I don't remember, but I do remember sitting outside the caravan and watching the planes take off. And there was there's a Spitfire that they used to have that we came into contact with during our documentaries, wasn't there one that?
Yeah, that's right. That was at Strathallan. Yeah, so the one that I flew in the Battle of Britain program.
Yeah. In
fact, we both flew in the Battle of Britain program, because you were in the back seat of it, weren't you, as well?
Right.
So that went through the Strathallan collection, and then I think it crashed, and then it was turned into a two-seat Spitfire. So there's quite a nice link there to our childhood, I suppose. And then and the other one, I'm pretty sure, was the Lysander.
Oh yeah,
that was originally from Strathallan.
That was brilliant flying in that plane. That was a great. That was a great sequence to shoot in the 100 years, wasn't it? You were dropped off, and I had to jump in and take off, and in the Lysander. What an amazing airplane! It's so beautiful.
It was. I just remember, because we had to do a crew swap sort of thing. So I was airborne at first, and you were the special agent on the ground. So I had to get land. You had to get me out. I had to get you in and close the canopy, and we had to do it in a certain amount of time. I think we had 2 minutes. It was only allowed 2 minutes on the ground or something like that. And I always remember you saying afterwards, when you got back, that you're looking at your stopwatch once the canopy came in, and you went, "Oh, great, we've done it in 2 minutes." And suddenly you were rolling down the runway, and you'd completely forgotten you're actually going to take off.
Right. It was so exciting. It was so exciting to do. But the other thing they had to do was signal to the plane. So the guy on the ground would signal a Morse code letter or sequence of letters, and if the plane if that wasn't the right letter from the plane's perspective, and the plane had to respond to it, and if they got it wrong in any way, the plane would just go away and the guy would just run away, or because the chances they could get caught doing this were quite high, I guess, because they were behind enemy lines, But what was it like because you talked about flying the Spitfire? What was that like? What was it like to actually airplane, that famous airplane?
I think that was definitely the most emotional I've ever been in an airplane, that's for sure. Because I don't know, you just kind of grow up with that aircraft, don't you, in your mind. It's so iconic. And then to actually be allowed to operate it yourself. I had Cliff Spink in the back, and he cleared me to fly it myself, effectively, although he was there as a sort of safety pilot. But just the whole thing, from starting up the Maryland engine, and just seeing the sort of flames coming out of the exhaust, and the fumes coming from it, and the smell and the noise. Then opening up the throttle and taking off, and then and just seeing that elliptical wing, which you just always It's just so iconic, isn't it? You know, with the massive RAF roundel on it.
Yeah. We'd made,
and it's so beautiful. Sorry, you?
We'd made so many of them in air when we were kids.
We did, absolutely. Yeah. And it was so beautiful to fly, and it actually felt quite not easy to fly is the wrong word, but it just handled so beautifully. You know, it was almost it was an instinctive aircraft to fly.
Right.
Until you came into land, and then that was when it became pretty tricky. And I'm sure there's quite a lot of guys that are either listening in or contributing to this, you know, BMF guys and stuff like that, who'll testify to that. There's a real handful on the ground, you know, more than it is in the air probably. So,
right.
But yeah, what an amazing experience that was. Really, really, really was. What was, out of all the programs that we did and all the aircraft that we flew then, what was your most favorite aircraft or favorite experience out of all of them?
Well, there's too many to pick up one favorite. It is an amazing privilege to fly in a Spitfire, and I was lucky enough to do that over the White Cliffs of Dover in formation with God, I'm forgetting. I'm blanking on the name of the other.
You got a Hurricane, another Hurricane and Spitfire with you, didn't you?
So I was lucky enough to fly over the White Cliffs of Dover in formation with a Hurricane and another Spitfire, two other Spitfires. I think there was 3 airplanes in all, and that was crazy. But it was my first experience also flying in tight formation. I'd never done that before, and or being flown in tight formation. But so we took off third, and we caught up. It was Cliff Spinks was flying me, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And Parky was flying one of the other ones, and I'm not sure who was flying the
yeah, it was Dunk Mason was flying the one.
Okay, so we caught up with them, and then as we came up and we joined the formation, we had to slow down a bit. So he did this sort of funny, like speed scrubbing maneuver, which was terrifying when you're so close to another airplane in the sky for the first time. I'd never seen that before. So you look down the wing, and there's another wing, and it looks like they could quite easily just bunt into each other, and you'd go spiraling down. So that was quite scary. But what an amazing experience! Once I for that feeling of being so close to another airplane in the sky, because from the ground, of course, the airplanes look like they're just smoothly going around, but from the air, they're all, you know, you're catching different pockets of air, and the planes are bouncing around a little bit. So
yeah.
We did the.
So, what about the? I was going to say, what about the Typhoon though? Because you were quite nervous about going up in that before, for one reason or another.
I just was worried that I was going to be sick, because last time I was in a fighter jet was with you in a Tornado, and it was many years ago. But it was I got a chance to fly with you round. We did a huge lap of Scotland, didn't we? And basically at low level, a lot of it, and it just made me so ill. Like you can't, in the Tornado, there's a big radar here right in front of your face, so you can't really see what's coming up. You can't prepare for the corners at all, and the G-force hits you when you go around banking around the corner, of course. So that just made me, and I was very nervous that maybe that would be the same situation with the Typhoon, and it just wasn't. It was so, the visibility is much better in the Typhoon. And also it was, I don't know, smoother. It's a much newer airplane, isn't it? So it was smoother, and it was what an experience to get to. We tanked off a tanker up and it was just an amazing experience to be able to do all those things, going low level up the west coast on the way back, scudding down Loch Ness side by side was something I'll never forget. It was just amazing. And at one point, let us fly them. He just said, "Okay, chase your brother," and I was kidding. He said, "It's all right. You can't stall it or anything. It won't let you. I just won't let you do it." So, but what did you think of it?
No, I mean, that was an amazing experience to do that. Not having flown one before, but funny, because I'd not actually flown in a fast jet for quite a few years either. And I suddenly thought, when we were strapping in, you know, I've been giving you all this banter about, you know, hope you're not going to be sick and all that sort of stuff. And I started feeling quite queasy myself. I thought, oh my God. If we come back from this flight and I fill the sick bag and you haven't, I will never ever let it down, you know. But luckily it was all right. It was fine. But yeah, I mean, you do lose it. You lose a bit of that, you know, if you haven't flown for a while, you know. But you'd had a lot more flying in the RAF 100 program than I had. You'd been up more aircraft, so I think you kind of got used to it over the couple of weeks before.
I built up to a bit, yes, because I had that amazing amazing trip with rats in the two-seater Spitfire with the 109 Messerschmitt, which was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But
I know you always remember you in the flight that we did with the repeat, which was down at the Shuttleworth collection, with those the two ATA ladies, Joy and Mary.
Yes, it was lovely. It was lovely because of them, really. And the repeat's a beautiful, beautiful aircraft. I'd never seen one in person before, and what a beautiful aircraft! It's just art deco, and it was lovely to fly in. But it was mainly lovely to fly in because of them, because they were such incredible ladies, and you know their stories. Like, they delivered airplanes to RAF bases during the Second World War, and they had to fly anything, and they had to fly any airplane the RAF used without ever having flown it before necessarily. They were literally, and they would be brand new. They'd prick up a brand new airplane, be given the logbook or the handbook. They'd flick, check the different speeds they had to hit for takeoff and landing and what have you, and off they go. So just incredible women, and it was a great privilege to meet them, wasn't it? And to fly with them was so.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. The other one that really sticks in my mind from the ones we've done was the Lancaster, obviously, because I've been on 617 Squadron for a couple of tours. You know, it's obviously synonymous with that squadron, the Dam Busters and everything. So getting the opportunity to fly in a Lancaster was something I'll never forget either. And obviously we managed to do that together, which is great. You know, just to share that experience really was just a once in a lifetime opportunity, wasn't it? Amazing thing to do. And considering just the history of the aircraft and the number of people that were lost flying it, and we had quite a few of the veterans with us that day, you know, to watch us taking off. It really was quite a moving experience, wasn't it? It
was incredible. That whole documentary was very moving. It was, you know, the Bomber Command boys hadn't really been fully recognised, had they? At that point, the monument wasn't in London for them, and there was a great stigma attached to it because they were bombing civilians, cities, as we were being bombed by the Germans. So it was just an incredible, difficult situation for them, and it was nice to meet them and to be making that film for them after all those years. And flying in the Lancaster was just one of the most extraordinary experiences of all. I just remember sitting because I moved around as best I could during the flight to go to the top turret, and then I was on the nose, which was really kind of a cool place to be. What a view! And then, but I went to the back, and I got into the tail gunner's seat, which is quite a palaver to get into. And once you're in there, you feel really remote. You feel really like it's quite lonely back there. And I got in there, and then we came down to land, and we were getting lower and lower and lower. And I just thought, okay, we're coming to land. I'll stay here. So I was obviously strapped in and everything. But just as I was thinking, we had probably about 10, 15 seconds till we touchdown. Suddenly the wings went to the side, and I hadn't realized we were going to do a little fly around the airfield, you know, because there was lots of tourists there and people, and they were doing a little display, but I didn't know that was going to something had gone wrong. We were about to land, and suddenly a wing had fallen off or something. And for a moment I thought, this is it. This is how I go, you know, strapped in the back.
Yeah.
So, that was very amusing and nice to get down and get out of the plane, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this whole thing this afternoon is brilliant to try and engage people back with flying again, you know, and especially with a sort of air show theme. It's brilliant, you know, because I've obviously got happy memories of doing a season myself in 2002, the Tornado, and displaying all over the UK and Farnborough and places like that, and over Europe and stuff. And I always secretly imagined that Raymond Baxter was commentating for me when I was Farnborough. Obviously, that wasn't the case, but that was a childhood thing. Recognised, that I recognised as well. But
taxied out to do the display. That must be incredibly nerve-wracking, is it?
Well, no, I don't think it was really. You just kind of got used to it, and I mean, obviously there was a lot of people watching it. I mean, air shows tend, you know, I think they're one of the second biggest spectator event in the, you know, after football or something. It's crazy the number of people that go to watch them. So you have that in the back of your mind. But I suppose once you're airborne, you just try to remember your routine and all that sort of stuff. And every display is different because of the weather conditions and the wind and the cloud and all that sort of stuff. And you've got to kind of adapt to all that. So all the venues are very different. You can be either, I mean, that week at Farnborough, for instance, we displayed at Farnborough one day, and then the next day it was as displaying it for one man and his dog at Durness at the top of the Rath. So it's just like totally different. But really amazing experience to do. And it's a shame that we can't see any air shows this summer, but this is obviously a great thing to do, and hopefully it's going to raise a lot of awareness and money for airability as well. I think we need to wish them well, and hopefully they can continue, giving that sort of passion of flying to as many people as possible, who otherwise wouldn't be able to, because we've absolutely enjoyed it, haven't we?
It really is a unique experience, isn't it, to fly in smaller aircraft. We'd sort of take it for granted in the big passenger jets that we fly in. It sort of doesn't almost feel like flying in a way. But when you get into a smaller aircraft and you strap in, you take off, and you get to look at the world from that perspective and to experience the turns and sort of dance around the clouds. It really is one of the most incredible feelings. So it's lovely. Yeah. The work that they're doing. I wish them all the best. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, wish them all the best. Absolutely. Well, Ewan, good to